What happens when America's darling of home renovation suddenly finds herself under fire, facing questions she never anticipated? When the cameras are rolling, the lights are blinding, and there's no place to retreat. Even the most carefully composed celebrities can break today. We're revisiting the explosive interview that left an entire audience stunned a moment. Joanna Gaines did something no one expected, but today, with Jenna and friends, set buzzed with its usual morning show warmth. The lights glowed, the crew moved with practiced ease, and Jenna Bush Hager welcomed Joanna Gaines with her trademark smile. Joanna was there to promote her new design book, a project meant to celebrate home and family. But what began as a feel-good segment was about to veer into dangerous territory. So, Joanna, your book really emphasizes creating spaces that bring families together, Jenna began. Then, her smile sharpened. But there's been some chatter online about whether your philosophy of design leaves some families out. For the first time, Joanna's polished smile faltered. I'm not sure what you mean. Jenna, our designs are for anyone who wants a beautiful home. Well, Jenna continued, phone in hand as though reading receipts. Critics say your aesthetic farmhouse chic, shiplap, neutral skaters to a narrow audience. It feels homogeneous. The word landed heavy, deliberate. Joanna's jaw tightened. Good design transcends demographics. Beauty is universal. But is it though? Jenna leaned forward. Your shows, your social media, your magazine, there's a clear pattern. Don't you think representation matters in the design world? Of course it matters, Joanna replied, her tone clipped now. But I don't control who applies for our show or who buys our products. We welcome everyone. Jenna's eyes didn't waver. And what about the controversy with your church a few years back? Some people felt that clashed with the message of inclusivity, your brand projects. Joanna's smile was gone completely. Her voice hardened. That's not a topic I'm discussing today. I'm here to talk about my book. Don't you think, with your platform, silence is also a choice? Jenna pressed. Joanna gripped the arms of her chair, her knuckles whitening. I create spaces where families can thrive. That's my expertise. That's what I stand for. But Jenna didn't ease up. Let's talk about accessibility. Your designs feature expensive materials, custom furniture, large-scale renovations. How do you promote togetherness through design when most families can't afford what you're selling? Joanna's voice strained. We offer budget-friendly options. There are ways to achieve the look without overspending. Are there? Jenna fired back. A single throw pillow from your line costs more than some families spend on groceries. Isn't that selling an aspiration out of reach for most people? The tension thickened. Crew members exchanged nervous glances. The producer gestured urgently from off-camera, but Jenna stayed locked in. I think you're mischaracterizing what we do. Joanna's voice rose, her composure cracking. We inspire people to see potential in their homes, no matter the budget. Inspiration without accessibility can feel hollow. Jenna countered, isn't it hypocritical to promote family unity while selling products most families can't afford? The word hypocritical struck like a slap. Joanna's eyes flashed. That's not fair. My husband and I have worked tirelessly to build something meaningful. We've created jobs. We've revitalized Waco. We've brought families together. But whose families? Jenna interrupted. Relentless. And people look at your empire, they see one very specific kind of family celebrated. Where are the single mothers? The multi-generational households? The families that don't fit your picture-perfect mold? Joanna's hands trembled now, her voice a mix of anger and hurt. You're twisting everything we stand for. We've never excluded anyone, haven't you though? Jenna cut in, her tone razor sharp. When your entire brand is built on one lifestyle, one image, one family structure, you send a message. And when you refuse to engage with that criticism, people are left to assume the worst. Joanna's restraint finally snapped. Her voice cut sharp through the studio. They're supposed to think I'm a designer who helps people create beautiful homes. That's it. That's who I am. That's what I do. Asterisk, not a politician, not a social activist, a designer. Joanna's words came out clipped, like she was forcing each one through gritted teeth. But you can't separate those things anymore, can you? Jenna shot back, her voice low but cutting. Not with the platform you have, not when you're shaping how millions imagine what a perfect home should look like. The studio went silent. The cameras hummed, the lights buzzed, and even the crew seemed frozen, caught between disbelief and fascination. Everyone could feel, if this wasn't a segment anymore, it was a collision. You know what I think? Jenna leaned back slightly, her tone deceptively casual, which only sharpened the edge of her words. I think your brand is built on authenticity and family values. But you've never once defined what those values mean when they're actually tested. My values are evident in my work, Joanna bit out. Are they? Because your work looks like a fantasy, a curated version of family life most people will never touch. And when anyone challenges that, you hide behind the idea that you're just a designer. But design isn't neutral. Joanna, who you showcase, which stories you elevate, what aesthetic you glorify that's political. Whether you admit it or not, The words landed like a slap. Joanna shot up from her chair, the force sending it rolling backward across the set. I think we're done here, she snapped. Are we? Jenna stayed seated, calm, almost smug. Because I think this is the conversation people need too. Here, this is what happens when we stop pretending lifestyle brands float in some value-free bubble. This is what happens when an interview turns into an ambush. Joanna fired back, yanking at the mic clipped to her blazer. I came here in good faith to talk about design and inspiration, not to be lectured on politics by someone who's never built anything. The insult hung heavy in the air, like smoke. No one wanted to breathe. Jenna's brows arched, just slightly. The first crack in her composure. Never built anything. That's rich coming from someone whose career was propped up by her husband's skills and her father-in-law's connections. The color drained from Joanna's face, then returned in a rush of angry red. For a moment, it looked like she might actually shout. Instead, she fumbled with the microphone, hands trembling. Let me help you with that, a production assistant whispered. Moving toward her, I can manage, Joanna hissed, finally ripping the mic free. Unlike some people, I don't need help tearing things down. That line lit a spark in Jenna. She rose from her chair at last, meeting Joanna's fury, eye to eye. Maybe tearing things down is exactly what's needed sometimes. Maybe the glossy illusion has to break so we can build something real, something inclusive, something that actually serves everyone, not just the people who can afford your boutique price tags. Joanna spun, microphone dangling from her hand like a weapon. You have no idea what you're talking about. You sit here with your gotcha questions, but what have you built? What have you created that brings joy to people's lives? I'm asking the questions that matter, Jenna shot back, stepping closer now, her voice steady. I'm holding powerful people accountable for the influence they wield. That's journalism, even if it makes you uncomfortable. This isn't journalism, Joanna spat, her voice shaking. This is a hit job. You lured me here under false pretenses just to ambush me with politics. None of this has anything to do with design or my book. Everything is connected. Joanna, that's what you keep refusing to see. Your designs, your business practices, the families you choose to spotlight, and the ones you ignore it, all sends a message about the world you believe in. The cameras were still rolling, catching every jagged word, every crack in Joanna's carefully cultivated image. What had started as morning television had become something else entirely, a public unmasking. Behind the cameras, the producer was gesturing frantically, desperate to reel the segment back in, but on set, neither woman seemed to notice. Their clash had consumed everything else. I think we should live in a world where people can create beautiful spaces for their families without being attacked for it, Joanna said, her voice cracking, raw with restrained emotion. A world where writing a book about design doesn't suddenly mean being accused of exclusion, and I think we should live in a world where people with platforms like yours actually use them responsibly. Jenna countered, her tone cutting, controlled, where they don't hide behind a mask of innocence when their choices shape the real world, fake innocence. Joanna's voice spiked upward, no longer soft enough to edit down later. You think caring about homes, about family togetherness, is fake. I think ignoring who gets left out of your picture-perfect definition of togetherness is ignorance at best, and deliberate exclusion at worst. That was the breaking point. Joanna ripped the microphone from her blazer and slammed it onto the coffee table. The crack of plastic against wood echoed like a gunshot, making both glasses of water tremble. I'm done, she said, her voice suddenly low, cold, final. I'm done being lectured by someone who's never created anything positive in their life. All you do is tear down, criticize, divide. That isn't journalism, that's destruction. She turned for the exit, but Jenna's voice followed. Walking away doesn't change the truth. Joanna, your brand does exclude people whether you admit it or not. Joanna froze mid-step. Slowly, she turned back, her face hard as stone. You want the truth? She said, her voice shaking with anger. The truth is, I've spent my entire career helping people see beauty and potential in their lives. I've created jobs, I've built opportunities, I've made things that bring families joy. What have you done, Jenna? Besides, sit in judgment of people who are actually building something. I've asked the hard questions, Jenna replied without flinching. I've challenged powerful people when they wanted a free pass. That's my job. Joanna let out a bitter laugh. Your job is supposed to be giving people a smile with their morning coffee, not prosecuting them for thought crimes. My job, Jenna said firmly, is whatever I decide it is. And today, it was holding you accountable. Joanna shook her head, already striding toward the exit. Well, congratulations. You turned a conversation about design into a political witch hunt. I hope the ratings were worth it. At the edge of the set, she stopped, turned once more, and delivered her final blow. You want to know the real tragedy, Jenna? People like you are so obsessed with tearing things apart that you've forgotten how to recognize solutions. Some of us are actually trying to make the world more beautiful, but you'd rather destroy that than admit that maybe, just maybe, bringing joy matters more than scoring political points. And with that, Joanna Gaines walked out. The studio sat stunned. Jenna remained standing, composed but fierce. The cameras were still rolling, immortalizing a piece of daytime television history that would be dissected and debated for years to come.